pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, appeal number 3146, the applicant 150-168 East Lancaster Partners, LLC, property located at 150-168 East Lancaster Avenue. Request an extension of time for obtaining a permit under Section 280-144 of the Code for 6 months until March 6th, 2024. Good evening.
Good evening. Nick Cornelia representing the applicant on this matter. I submitted the letter for the extension. Currently, we are listed for the Planning Commission. This coming month will be in August. You may recall this is the corner of Luella and Lancaster. The proposal was retail with residential on top. So this is the first request for extension here. Hopefully, we'll be able to get the permits within 6 months. By March the 6th, it'll still be cutting it tight possibly, because I said we have to go through land development, and we'll have to get a waiver for preliminary final, and then the bidding process and everything like that. But you could come back and see us again, but right now we're just asking for the 6 months.
Okay. And so the current permit would expire
It
when?
currently expires,
Sorry.
yes.
I'm trying to do the math
I think
backwards.
it's early September,
Before.
and so that's why we filed now, because,
Okay.
you know, we
Questions?
wouldn't be on.
No? Okay. Good luck. We'll see you in March.
Thank you.
All right. Appeal number 3155, the applicant Villanova University, property located at 800 East Lancaster Avenue, HSB Garage. Request an extension of time for obtaining a permit under Section 280-144 of the Code for 6 months until April 3rd, 2024. Counsel.
Evening, Nick Cornelia representing the applicant on this matter. This, you may recall, was the parking structure across from the pavilion on North Lathan Avenue. We have appeared before the Planning Commission. We received unanimous approval, including a waiver, recommendation of waiver for the preliminary final. We still have to go to the Board of Commissioners. I would suspect, hopefully, we'll get before them at least one time in August. Remember, we have to go caucus and then final approval. Again, we're confident that we only need 6 months on this one, that we can get the permit. It should be a preliminary final, and then Mary Lou Smith's pretty confident that we should be able to get the permit within 6 months.
Any questions? No? Okay. We'll grant that, too.
Thank you.
Yep. Good
Thanks.
luck. Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Gus, do I need to read the whole 3157 or just, okay, so. Appeal number 3157, the applicant 411 West Wayne LLC, property located at 411 West Wayne Avenue. There's a continuance request for the September 21st, 2023 meeting, which we'll grant as well. Okay, appeal number 3161, the applicant Noel Huey, property located at 102 Morningside Circle, zoned R4 residential. The applicant seeks relief from Section 280-30D1 of the Code to construct an addition in the side yard setback. Good evening.
Good evening. Hi. So this addition we want to add is just 100.
Hold on one second.
Yes.
Need you to state your name and address for the record, and then we'll swear you in.
Noel Huey. I'm the architect for Austin and Sarah Avery at 102 Morningside. You need my address? No.
You could give your
Okay.
business address.
At 347 High Ridge Road, Chadds Ford. And so we're trying
And
to
then I
build.
think we need you sworn in.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
I do.
Thank you. Sorry.
That's okay.
Couple formalities.
Okay. Yeah, so we're. Austin and Sarah Avery, the owners, are right here. Yes, Avery. Yes. So we would like to add an addition to the side of their house as part of a kitchen renovation. It's a single-story addition within the side setbacks of their property, but we need relief from the aggregate setback in order to construct anything. It is within the space that's already occupied by their entry porch, and there is significant precedent for this in the neighborhood as well. But this, as part of their renovation, we want to add a little side powder room, off of their existing driveway, which would be within their side setbacks.
Okay, so the relief you need is two then. You need side setback.
No, we're within
And
the
aggregate?
side setback. It's
You're
just,
within,
yes, we
okay.
are. We
So
just
it's
want
just
the
the
aggregate.
aggregate.
Yes, please.
Got it, okay.
Yeah, so
Understood.
it would be relieved to 22'9", and it's supposed to be 30 feet, so we're close. And the side setbacks we are complying with.
Okay, so I have plans in front of me. Do you have plans that you could present and
I do have the
put them
plan.
up on the board? It's
I do have the plan. Do you want me to
Okay.
put it up?
Put it up on the table. There's an overhead camera, and if you could walk us through what you've got.
Okay.
Actually, well, go ahead. As you go, maybe we'll mark the exhibits.
Okay, that's fine.
So
Can
let's
I do
m-
it without the microphone?
No.
No.
So let's make the application Exhibit 1. No, just as long as the record's fine. Is there a deed in here?
There is a deed in the package.
Okay, let's
And
make the deed Exhibit 2 then.
I didn't bring the deed. I brought.
That's okay, we have it.
Okay.
Okay, I'm sorry. All right,
We
so
do
then,
have support from all of the adjacent neighbors, including the directly adjacent neighbor who's here today, to support this project.
great,
Okay.
okay.
All right.
So we'll
this-
make this Exhibit 3.
So here you can see the line of the existing house, and then the dashed line is where their entry is currently. And we want to just expand that slightly and enclose it to make a single-story enclosure that would be a little powder room entry off their driveway. And you can see it falls, well within, where the driveway, it wouldn't interrupt the current driveway. And it is 12'3" from the property line, so it complies with the setback as well.
Okay. Do you have all of the total setback shown on this site plan?
It's down below. If you look at the district, down here, the zoning is below. So we have all the setbacks, the required setbacks, the existing setbacks, and then what's proposed. So the front setback obviously doesn't change. The side setback changes on one side, which brings us below the 30-foot aggregate. So you see there, that's where we're requesting relief. And then the rear setback doesn't change either.
Okay. I guess just walk us through the project a little bit, the need for it, and what's going on.
The project is, they want to renovate the interior of their home to expand their kitchen, which is sort of in this section of the house. They want to expand it into the existing garage and just make a bigger kitchen space. And then as part of that project, they want to add a powder room, a first floor powder room. And that would have also a little entry mudroom, which is what this new addition would be. It's an entry mudroom that has a powder room, and then you would walk into the main space, which would be kitchen, expanded kitchen.
Okay. Do you show that on any of these drawings?
I don't have that on here. They told me I needed the site plan for this review,
Okay.
but of course, we will submit architectural plans for permit.
All right, so that, I'm clear then, and the grayed out area, and it's hard to see it up on the
Yeah, sorry, it's very
table.
faint, but yes, the grayed out area is we're proposing to add to the footprint of the house.
Okay, and that's a mud room, but then also a powder room?
Yes.
How many bathrooms currently exist in the home? Just that.
Do you guys know? One. One upstairs. That is a hardship for me.
None on the ground floor.
Okay. Okay. Any other material to present? I mean, you probably should, unless your clients are going to testify as well, but you should
mean, we
probably
have-
walk us through the exhibits
Okay, I
that were
have
submitted.
They provided letters from a lot of their adjacent neighbors. There's also aerial photographs of the adjacent buildings, which were just requested in the application online. The deed is in there. There's a civil survey as well, showing the property lines and where they fall.
You don't have that
I didn't
material
bring
with
it,
you?
sorry. I just brought my site plan.
Okay. Is that the survey?
That's the civil survey of the existing conditions.
Why don't you take this and put it up? We'll mark this as Exhibit 4. And if you could just walk us through that quickly.
So here is exactly as things are now. You see they actually have that side deck that we're proposing to demolish. existing deck in the back, and then there's a deck as well, because the first floor is elevated in the front, because the whole fourth floor is elevated. So, and then they have a shared driveway, and then you see all of the meets and bounds here listed on the civil survey.
Okay, so the existing deck off the driveway, essentially you're just enclosing that? Is that what's happening?
It's going to be slightly larger than the existing deck. I mean, you can see here, it's about twice the size. It's a very small entry deck, so we are expanding it slightly in order to provide the powder room as well as the entry.
So the 12'3" that you show here, does that encroach on the, is that to the existing deck line?
No, the existing deck is a little farther. The existing deck is, well, so the civil surveyor didn't take into account the existing deck at all. He showed you to the corner of the house. Can you see it? Sorry. So he only showed to the corner of the house. The civil surveyor didn't take that into account at all on his survey. But I have the line of the existing deck here on my survey that is 77 by 75 inches. So let's see, I could do that math. That's 20 feet minus roughly 6.5 feet, right? So, I mean, it is farther. It's farther that we're encroaching than that did. But it's beyond the line of the driveway and within the side setback.
Okay. Essentially, yeah, that's what I was thinking. Okay. Okay. Here, why don't we just finish off the exhibits?
Okay, so these are some of the adjacent properties. I'm sorry, I didn't know I needed to bring another copy with
That's
the
okay.
10 that I submitted.
It's for the 3 people at home watching us.
So here are, so you can see I sort of pointed to, here's the front and the side of the property in question. That's the little deck that is off the side currently. So we'd be enclosing that area and making it into a single-story shed roof addition. And then you see the adjacent property, there's a lot of foliage, but it's hard to see. There also is a deck there. And then
Is that the property that shares the driveway?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes. So that's Dave's house. Dave is here.
okay.
And then 2 properties over, there is also this addition that's very similar to what we're asking for, which is 2 houses away at 106. And then I also showed the property below, just because it requested all adjacent properties.
Okay. Do you have anything that shows us what it would look like? I don't even know what to call it.
rendering
A
of
rendering,
the-
thank you.
I don't have that, but I could provide that if that's something that you want to see. It would be a single-story shed roof addition.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's something that we would need tonight, so.
Okay.
Okay. And then there's some letters. What did I do with them?
So Austin and Sarah just garnered some support from their neighbors and had them write letters to request this relief for them.
Okay. Did we mark the photographs? I've lost track of where I am in terms of exhibits.
Oh, I don't think you gave it a number.
I don't think I get 5, okay. So the photographs will be Exhibit 5. The letters, these are all letters of support?
Yes.
We can mark those as Exhibit 6 then. Okay. Well, if you want, come on up and state your name and address for the record, and you can be sworn in.
Hi, my name is Richard Austin Avery. I'm one of the owners of 102 Morningside Circle. Would you like me to swear in? I do. Richard Austin Avery. Sorry, I go by my middle name to keep things confusing, I guess. Of one of those letters of support, I believe, is 146 Morningside Circle from the Harvey residents. They actually had to go through this exact process and required a variance based off their setback amounts, and I just want to acknowledge that those were granted. So that includes one of the letters of support.
Got it.
That's all.
Okay.
Thank you. Want this back?
Sure.
Okay. Any questions from the board? Jamie?
Quick question, underneath the existing deck, are we looking at driveway or are we looking at grass and ground?
No, it's not driveway. Underneath the existing deck is, it's not paved.
Okay, and that's where we're going from existing impervious of
Right,
27.4 to 28.2?
Change in impervious coverage.
Sorry, 27.4 to 28.2. Okay, so it's a 1%, basically.
Right, there's a,
less than a 1% change. Okay, thank you.
But it's still within the, the max is much higher, so.
Okay. Has any consideration been given to reducing the size of the addition to be built?
In order to accomplish what they'd like to do and have an entry and a powder room, it's a pretty small addition. I would think if we were to shrink it down, they would lose one of those functions in the addition.
Because one of the considerations we have to give is the least amount of relief to alleviate the hardship. And that's why I asked that question, what consideration was given. As opposed, I gave you my exhibit, so I don't have the numbers in front of me, but you're at 22 feet 9 inches, I think, as proposed. Okay. So in other words, is there any wiggle room in that number?
It would be difficult to fit an entry and a powder room in less. It's very minimal what we're fitting in there. We could try and shrink the plant slightly.
I'm just asking the
difficult to
question.
Yeah, they wouldn't have, they need the entry off their driveway.
Yeah.
So that entry is very important.
Okay.
They really, really want the powder room. It's, the point of this.
Okay.
So,
Okay. Anything else for us?
no, thank
Any
you
other
very much for
witnesses?
your time.
Any,
Questions?
yeah,
Any
any
other
witnesses? Well, or do you want, or maybe they're going to come up during public comment. That was my thought.
I have
Yeah.
a question, Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind.
You have-
I heard something,
By all means.
I heard something stated out in the gallery, but I want to make sure it gets in the record because it goes to hardship. Would this, is there currently a powder room on the first level of this house?
There is not a
Okay.
powder room on the first level of the house.
So this would be the only bathroom on the first floor if it's approved. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that got in the record.
Yeah, I think I heard that.
I heard it as well, but I don't
But-
know.
yeah.
Everyone's talking, it's hard to hear.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So I know you have some neighbors here in support. Do you want to call them up as witnesses or let them speak in public comment? Why don't we do it in public comment? Okay. All right. So if there's nothing else, you would now move your exhibits into the record?
Okay,
Do you move your exhibits?
yes, thank you.
Okay, yes, all right, without objection. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I'll take them back. All right. Is there any public comment on the application? Come on up.
That's why it might be better to call it voicemail.
I was told I wasn't going to have to speak. I'm
State
all
your name
for it.
and address.
Sarah and
State-
Austin. Up.
Swear to testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, I do.
Please state your name and address.
David Saxon, 104 Morningside Circle.
Thank you, Mr. Saxon.
I have no problem with any of this. My neighbors are cool, and I would want them to do it for me. And it's really not a big deal.
Yeah, you're the house on the shared driveway? I'm
Yes.
just making sure I keep in my
I
perspective.
had a rotten neighbor for a long time, and she fought me on a lot of different things.
I
that
think we've
didn't-
all had rotten neighbors.
Well, that they're not rotten, and I think they deserve to have this.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
All right. Anyone else?
Colin Whalen. I'm helping the client with the renovation as the contractor.
Swear to testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so
I do, thank you.
spell your last name.
Whelan. I would just like to reiterate the amount of precedence that already exists in the neighborhood, and the fact that the houses are very small to begin with, and they're not functioning for a young, growing family. So really, the relief is in both the setback, but also the functionality of the house. So I would hope you would take that into consideration.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, seeing no more, we'll close public comment. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve property at 102 Morningside Circle to receive relief from Section 283 OD1 to construct the addition in the side yard setback, to relief from aggregate 30 feet.
Second.
Any discussion? Yeah, okay. Well, I don't have anything that I need to add. I think Gus hit the point on the hardship. I agree. No bathroom on that first floor can be tough, so I think that satisfies what we need to hear. So we'll take a vote. Jamie?
Aye.
George? John? Jeez, whiz. You know I'm going to do that forever.
That's all right. He's a good guy, I wouldn't mind.
Damn.
Aye.
Too many Nagels, too many Johns on the board. I'm also in favor. Congratulations. Good luck with the project.
No, you want to give me all that?
Sure.
Seriously.
They're all John.
All right. Next up, appeal number 3162, the applicant IGC Philadelphia LLC, In-Town Golf, property located at 201 King of Prussia Road and zoned PLO, Planned Laboratory Office. The applicant seeks a variance from section 280-145 of the code to use suites 250 and 255 as a private club, restaurant/bar with accessory office use and golf simulators. The applicant requests the variance relief as well as any other variances, special exceptions, or other relief required. The applicant reserves the right to amend and/or supplement this application and the grounds for relief herein. Mr. Whalen?
Yes, thank you.
No
so-
relation, different spelling.
No relation, different spelling. I would have said his last name is Whelan.
Whelan, right.
But yes, Sean Whalen here from Vintage Law. I don't think you need to swear me in, right? All right. Here on behalf of the property owner, not the property owner, the applicant, we also have the property owner, which is Brandywine Realty Trust, in a separate LP that you've seen and we'll put on the record as needed, here in full support and authorization under a written lease.
Okay.
So, you know,
However you want to present.
I'll give you a quick spiel, and then we'll see how long. I don't want to take up your time. I mean, obviously, the masses are interested, so we'll. I did lock the door behind me as I was coming in, so just an old trick I use. No, so we actually think so. This was done sort of as a prophylactic measure. Everyone sort of thought that this was approved and ready to go. My client, which you'll hear, George Bain, on behalf of what is In-Town Golf, moved forward, pulled a demo permit. No issues were raised. They got the demo permit. Didn't start any work. Went in and submitted for a building permit. And in the permit review, kind of as a second level review in that process after comments, they were told, hey, wait a second, I think maybe you need zoning relief. And so we apologize for the vagueness of my application. Basically, that was the day before applications were due to get in today instead of September. Mm-hmm. So I just quickly, as fast as possible, tried to get in front of you guys.
Yep.
So I actually believe this is a private club that's coming in. They have one in Charlotte, one in Atlanta. It's been wildly successful. It's a limited private club with dining and a small bar, and then individual bays for high-end golf simulators in the back. So it's a relatively low-intensity use. We think actually there's neither in the PLO nor anywhere that I could find in the Radnor zoning code is there a separate designation for a private club. So it's a little unclear where this would even fall. Mm-hmm. That being said, in the PLO, the 28063D6 actually allows by right an accessory restaurant use to the existing office building. Sorry, I should say, this is for 201 King of Prussia Road. I'm getting a little ahead of myself. It's been an existing building since 1972. You will hear, if you want, testimony from Brandywine Realty Trust that they purchased it in '04. It's been in the same condition that it is right now. Obviously, some facelifts, some new paint, things like that. But parking's exactly the same, building's exactly the same. There's no new construction being proposed, no height addition, no nothing like that with this. So we actually believe that under Section 28063D6, where a restaurant use is allowed accessory to the existing office use, we believe that we would be allowed by right. Again, we're here just as a courtesy, make sure we're all on the same page. If this board disagrees, we're happy to go through the zoning variance. We certainly meet all of the required metrics and requirements of 280-145. And separately, I think I said in my, there was an issue raised about possibly needing parking relief from the building permit review. I think no matter how we review that, we actually don't need parking relief. We're actually taking, the building's 251,000 square feet, where in-town golf is only taking 18,000. Whether you classify, as far as off-street parking, the private club as a restaurant, as other, which is sort of what I think it would fall into, both of those require no more parking than the 60 to 90 units that, which would be the parking requirement for that same square footage under the code for just the traditional office use that's already in place.
Right. Yeah. From what I understand, their parking hasn't been questioned by the township.
So
at least at this point in your application.
That was my
I don't think you
understanding,
need to
but I
spend
just
much
wanted to
time
be.
there. Yeah, no,
I just want to be prepared in case you guys had any questions. I don't think there's any issues whatsoever there. I think no matter what we fall under, we fall with a lesser requirement for parking than we have already. It is the parking is a prior non-conforming use.
You don't need to spend much time on parking.
Okay, so I will skip it then.
Yeah. And well, it's your case.
Yeah, so I'm happy to.
I'd like you to concentrate on the variance aspect of it.
Okay.
So that the record is.
All right, and just to be clear, you guys were all provided with a package. For the record, I did pre-mark one, and I gave that to
Yes.
your solicitor.
We have that. Thank you.
We have that. Just so you know, the package that you have is actually in the same exact order with nothing new than the packet I'm going to show.
Great.
And I can call up. You want me to start with the witness, or you want me to start with legal argument as to why we need
Start
the
with
variance?
the witness. Yeah.
All right.
Could I ask a question first? Just
Of course.
help my education. How does, do you need a liquor license?
So yes, we don't need a liquor license, but we are seeking a liquor license. That is a separate application process that is going on concurrently, although I believe it's on hold basically until we get approval from Radnor Township. So I will call Mr. Christopa, and where would you like him? Just
Right here. Sorry. Let's give you the microphone. I don't think she had turned it on last time.
Yeah, then I couldn't hear it.
Yeah.
yeah.
It dawned on me.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Paul Christopa, Krystoppa. I do.
All right, Mr. Christopa, you're here on behalf of the property owner, Brandywine Realty Trust, correct?
That's correct.
And more specifically, the property owner is actually Radnor Properties 201 KOP LP.
That's correct.
I don't need to show it unless you want to see it, but I would have the zoning application listed as the first exhibit.
Yeah, typically that's one. Yep.
The second exhibit, Mr. Christopa, I'm not going to belabor the point. Before you, I put an authorization letter signed by Radnor Properties 201 KOP LP, who you're here on behalf of in support of this application.
That's correct.
I would just have that marked as exhibit 2.
Yep.
And similarly, Mr. Christopa, are you familiar with a lease between Brandywine and In-Town Golf?
I am.
And just for clarity of the record, In-Town Golf is actually operating as IGC Philadelphia LLC. You understand that, correct?
Yes.
And that's who's actually technically listed on the lease.
Correct.
I would have the lease put as.
Sure. Will you just keep close to the microphone?
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
Usually people tell me I'm being too loud. I'll move everything. I'll move everything over closer to me. Okay. So, Mr. Christopa, obviously the board is going to be familiar with this. Are you familiar with what I'm showing you right now?
I am.
And just kind of give a description for the board of, where the property is.
So the area surrounded in black there is our property 201 King of Prussia Road. It encompasses the building and the surrounding parking areas.
All right. And Mr. Christopa, I did neglect to mention, what's your role with Brandywine Realty Trust?
Director of Operations, Philadelphia Suburbs.
Okay, thank you. And you are very familiar with this property?
I am.
I would have the aerial marked as Exhibit 4. And Mr. Christopa, again, this is just an aerial kind of giving an overview. Can you kind of describe what the surrounding properties are?
So there's railroad tracks to the back of the building. There's Archbishop Carroll, which is on the other side of the railroad tracks, on the top side of the picture. Parking areas to the left, which will be the west. Another parking area to the other side of the property, which would be the east, I believe. And then just in the front of the building facing King of Prussia Road is also another parking area. Across the street is 250 King of Prussia Road, which is also known as the Radnor Life Sciences Center.
Okay. And are you aware, I would have that marked as Exhibit 5. Mr. Christopa, are you aware of any negative impact, in your opinion, that this in-town golf's use would impart on any of the adjacent neighbors?
No,
In fact, you're quite a good distance away from the adjacent neighbors, right?
we are.
All right. Just for clarity, Mr. Christopa, I don't know if you've ever seen this before, but just for the board's view, I'll move as Exhibit 6, the zoning map. Are you aware that the property is in what's called the PLO zoning district?
Yes.
And historically, what has the property always been used as?
Commercial office space.
Okay. And that's true, or I should ask, Brandywine purchased the property in 2004?
That's correct.
And that it's been wholly office space ever since Brandywine purchased it?
That's correct, since '04.
And to the best of your knowledge, was it also commercial office space prior to Brandywine's purchase of the building?
To the best of my knowledge, yes.
Okay. And since Brandywine has purchased the property, has there been any additional change to the parking, change to the exterior size, location, or anything of the building?
No.
Okay. All right. Now, Mr. Christopa, you actually provided this to me, so I'm hoping you're familiar with it.
I am. That's our Alta plan for the property.
All right. And this was the Alta plan that you, that Brandywine had at the time of purchase, correct?
Yes, created in '04.
And it's a little difficult to see on this image, but this plan does show the layout of the existing building, the meets and bounds of the property, and all existing parking spaces, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And I would move to have that as Exhibit 7. Mr. Christopa, I'm just going to walk you through quickly some site photos of the property, and if you could just describe what you see for the board.
So that is a view from across the street, standing on King of Prussia Road in front of 250 King of Prussia Road, looking onto the subject property, 201 King of Prussia Road. I see the main entrance to the left and our marquee signage to the right.
And how would you describe King of Prussia Road?
A main thoroughfare in Radnor Township.
Heavily trafficked?
Yes, at times.
Maybe more so pre-2020?
Yes, indeed.
I'm going to move all of the site photos in as a single exhibit, Exhibit 10. I actually, in your package, you have Exhibits 8 and 9, which will be for Mr. Bain. And I should ask. Just one more quick question on this, Mr. Christopa. There's a very good setback of the existing building from the street frontage, correct?
Yes, correct. That is looking, if I'm standing at the site in question, 201 King of Prussia Road, looking across King of Prussia Road to 250 King of Prussia Road.
And 250 is actually a medical research and laboratory facility?
That's correct.
And you know this because it's also managed by Brandywine and owned by Brandywine?
Yes, sir. That picture is looking down King of Prussia Road towards the Blue Route. The building in the distance where the framework is 155 King of Prussia Road. That is looking in the opposite direction, standing on the subject property, 201 King of Prussia Road, looking to the train trestle and train station at the top of the hill.
All right.
It's the front elevation of 201 King of Prussia Road.
And how many stories is King of Prussia Road?
6.
All right. And about how many square feet is it?
251,000. That picture is one of the parking lots that is adjacent to the Radnor SEPTA train station. And that's the other side of the property away from the train station. I would say that's the eastern elevation that we're looking at of the building.
And we're not going to spend much time on parking tonight, but just from this photo and from your experience, have you ever had any issues with the parking at the facility?
No. That is looking to the east. The building would actually be at the person taking the photograph. It would be at their back. That is the part of the rear elevation where we have an additional entrance just beyond the trees there on the left-hand side. That's the rear of the property. So that is the actual rear of the property where the access road comes across. There's 2 generators in the back of the building, and again, parking to the right. That's at the person's back would be the Radnor train station.
And Mr. Kristopa, is this rear corner on the first floor where In-Town Golf's facility will be?
Yes, that's the proposed location. That is the western entrance of the property where the white trellis work is.
Okay. And this white trellis work, that would actually be the front entryway and only entrance into an exit from In-Town Golf's, correct?
That's correct. That's the proposed entranceway. This is the parking lot. I'm looking at the Radnor train station would be in the far part of the photo to the right-hand side, adjacent to the proposed entranceway.
So, Mr. Kristopa, that's all the exhibits I have to show you, but I would just like to walk you through, I think you already testified that the historical use of this building has always been office space.
Correct.
And did you historically have, between 04 and 2020, did Brandywine enjoy high occupancy rates for office use?
Yes.
And what happened in 2020? You don't need to belabor the point. I think we all know the punchline.
Yeah, we had a severe foot traffic took a big dip.
And
Tenant use and foot traffic.
And are you now sort of coming out of the COVID new reality? What
We're trying.
You seeing? You're trying. Does that mean you've suffered a dip in vacancy in office use?
Yes. The whole area has surrounding the building in general.
You're seeing this in all of your buildings?
That's correct.
Okay. And you don't see this as something that's coming back next month or next year or in the next...
We're hopeful it comes back. I mean, we're seeing a rise during the week on select days, but it is nowhere near what it was prior to the pandemic.
Okay. And at all times, you've been trying your best, I would assume, to lease up all of the space and all the vacancy that you have, correct?
That's correct.
And you've been unable to do so with office space?
It's been a challenge.
Okay. Now, you understand under the PLO district that, and obviously you operate 250 King of Prussia Road, which is a medical research and laboratory facility, that it is possible for you to lease out 201 also as those uses, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
But what would be required to do so?
Additional infrastructure to the building. We'd have to improve cooling, exhaust to accept any type of laboratory or medical.
And how would you kind of estimate or quantify or qualify the cost of doing so?
Well, we'd have to have plans involved, but it would be considerable. We'd have to change the infrastructure of the building to accept these laboratory spaces.
Okay. All right. I believe, Mr. Christopa, that's all the questions I have for you today. Board, I know I blitzed through that as fast as possible given the hour. If you have any questions for Mr. Christopa or myself up for questions.
I do. I'll go first if you don't mind.
Yep.
Yeah. So the 2 suites involved in this application, how long have they been vacant?
Just before the pandemic, or as the pandemic was happening, the people that were in there vacated, and it was a call center. So it's been sitting idle for several years.
So would that be approximately 4.5, 5 years?
Yes.
And prospects to relet the space for office use, what's that look like for you? I think you kind of touched upon it, but
Yeah, I mean,
if you
well,
could expand
every
a little.
deal is super important. You know, we've had some interest, but again, it's nothing compared to what it was, especially for this area prior to the pandemic.
Do you have other vacancy in that building?
Yes, sir.
I don't have anything else.
And maybe I can just quantify for that. I mean, could you estimate for the board the percentage drop in vacancy that you're seeing, from 2019 to 2023?
So what we're seeing is anybody that comes up for renewal, either they're not going to renew or they're reducing their space greatly.
Quick question.
Of course.
The current office is being used. Can you give us an idea of numbers of population of people in the building?
The
besides
occupancy
250 and
for the building right now?
Yeah.
So it's 77% occupied right now.
Okay.
We're seeing, I don't have a number of people per day, but the busiest days, and it's generous saying busiest days, are Tuesday and Wednesday. Thursday, we've seen an uptick a little bit, but now with the summer here, it's kind of hard to gauge. But yeah, like I said, Tuesdays and Wednesdays we're seeing foot traffic and additional cars in the parking lot.
Okay, so besides 250 and 255, which we're talking about today, 77% of the other suites are occupied at some point.
So 201 King of Prussia Road, yes, it's 77% occupied currently as far as leases go, occupied space.
And other question, is there a cafeteria in the building currently?
No, there's not.
Is there any restaurant in the building currently?
Say that
There's
again?
no restaurant in the building currently, confirmed?
No restaurant in the building currently, no.
No food services at all?
No.
Thank you.
There's a Coke machine in the back of the one, the one space that used to have a cafe a long time ago.
Thank you.
And
got it.
just for a quick question of clarity, as to context, Mr. Christopa, you said 77% occupied as of right now. Were you at roughly 90+% occupied pre-pandemic?
Yes, low 90s, high 80s percentile.
And can you quantify for the board that percentage of people who are current tenants that are asking you to either reduce their space or not going to renew space as their leases are coming due?
It's different for every deal, but again, it's every deal that we've come across, we'll say in the past 12 to 18 months has been a reduction or they're not going to renew.
Okay. Thank you.
One last question from me.
Sure.
So 250 and 255 is about 18,000 square feet, I think I heard. So
250 King of Prussia Road is 100.
no, I mean the suite numbers in this building.
Okay.
Am I saying that? Is that right? Suites?
Okay, I'm sorry, you're talking suite numbers.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
you have the
Yeah, sorry, I can bring that up. but I believe those are the correct suites.
I think that's right, yeah. So what percentage do they, so you'll, if you get the relief tonight, what percentage of occupancy will you go to? Do you know?
I want to say it would go up 6%.
And I don't think we need to walk through the numbers, but 18,000 out of 251 is about 6%. And all right, so I think that's it for Mr. Cristopa.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. George?
Yes. George Thomas Bain III. Bain, B-E-H-N.
Mr. Bain, you're here on behalf of the applicant, correct?
Correct.
And you understand if I call that In-Town Golf, that's technically IGC Philadelphia LLC, but that's a mouthful.
Yes, I do.
All right. And what role do you hold with In-Town Golf?
I'm our project manager. I help to oversee our design, construction, and new development, landlord engagement, lease negotiation. We're a mixed bag company for sure.
All right. And In-Town Golf has how many other facilities like this?
So we have two existing currently, Atlanta, Buckhead more specifically, small area of Atlanta, and then Charlotte, South Park, specifically a small area of Charlotte.
Okay. So this would be the third In-Town Golf private club?
That is correct.
Okay. And could you describe what's the reception been and attitude with the first two?
So we have had an outpouring of positive nature from our members. We have wait lists where we are being asked to build more, open another one in those cities. Charlotte's only been open for 2 months, and we are receiving really great feedback from our members, very good likeness, and a lot of interest in where are we going next.
But you do limit the number of memberships at any individual facility, correct?
That is correct. It is a private membership, and every market is going to be a little bit different. Weather is certainly a big thing with golf in general, but indoor golf simulators, it's an even bigger thing. Atlanta, we have recently decided that that market should hold 650 members. Charlotte, we are anticipating that number to be roughly the same. We are going to trickle that out over the first year or so that we do not overwhelm the space. Philadelphia is going to be, Radnor is going to be slightly different for us because of the winter months. We want to make sure that we're providing great service to our members and their guests, and we are unsure yet of where that threshold is going to take us, but we will open the club with approximately 350 members on day one.
Okay. And I'll just put for you here, move this as Exhibit 8. I'm sorry, was that a question? Oh. So just, could you identify, this is going to be marked as Exhibit 8 for the board, what I just put down on the table?
So this is the cover sheet for our architectural permit drawing set that currently sits on hold within Radnor Township plan review.
Okay. And I think this is a several-page document. We can walk through any questions the board may have. But just for expediency, I'm going to fast forward to page number 5 so you can just kind of walk the board through the layout of the space.
So this plan is organized in conjunction with the aerial imagery that we had looked at. So plan west on this drawing would be west in actuality. So our entrance is actually, our main entrance is just off the page, bottom left of this image. And our main entrance comes through the lobby foyer. This drawing actually has an arrow there because it is part of our accessibility and egress routings. That is our main entrance into our lobby foyer. And then coming through the space, we have our locker rooms that are comprised of restroom spaces, locker facilities, showers, things that you would see typical to a club.
Would you mind showing us where you're?
Yes, I
referring to?
apologize.
And there may actually be a pointer in that lectern.
On the lectern somewhere, up top? No, like one of the corners there, tuck it away in there.
I don't see anything.
I do not.
Your finger's fine.
Okay.
You want to use a pen, my
Yeah,
pen?
yeah, yeah. All right, so to recap, bottom left here is where our main entrance is, coming into our lobby foyer. That lobby foyer is meant to emanate a residential environment. It has some merchandise, but it's meant to feel comfortable. You come in, and immediately on your left, you have the locker room facilities, again, made up of toilet stalls, lockers, changing facilities, as well as showers. Coming through the space, our main hallway here is leading you to the center of the club. Walking past that, though, we have our first two golf simulator hitting bays. They are a projector system, overhead projector linked with a computer, as well as a tracking device. The tracking device reads your club and your golf ball and creates a realistic outdoor environment. Coming through the space, we get into our first portion of our main dining room and bar area. You will see surrounded by that are different hitting bays. They are all slightly different. We have two general models. One is kind of a bar top standing environment that's a little bit more casual. The other one is soft seating, like you'd see on the bottom of the page here, and that is, again, for more casual environment where you may have a few more people hanging out for a significant period of time. One other nuance that we have is this hitting bay here, where we do club fitting. So we can do golf club fitting for all different types of golf clubs as part of our accommodation. That golf fitting actually is a piece of our program that is available to the public. Looking here on the plan north side, we have our main bar, some cocktail style seating, soft seating, banquettes, some more general soft seating here. Moving through the club, we have a more formal, what we call a great room. It has booths at the backside, a couple larger communal tables, and then flexible dining seating that is smaller tables that can be pulled together or pushed apart depending on the size of your party, very standard to a typical restaurant. And then some more casual lounge seating here that abuts a gas fireplace. Coming through the space, what is shown on this particular drawing is blank. This is an indoor putting green. So it is synthetic turf with some slight undulation to it that you can do simulator putting indoors. The last two spaces here are slightly larger bays that are adjoining, one being a private dining room, one being a larger hitting bay. The private dining room is available for board meetings, private lunches, things like that our members may have the need to do. But then, as is golf, they typically want to adjoin that with maybe some hitting throughout the meeting. So those are available to be connected through pocket doors. The latter portion of the space is our kitchen and back of house area shown here in white. And then this grayed out space is denoted as future. So of the 18,000 square feet that we talked about, 2,500 approximately is noted for future opportunity. That is, again, because of the market. We want to be able to provide amenity to our members. We do not know yet what that should be based on Radnor and based on our membership usage. So we're leaving ourselves a bit of flexibility that we can continue to add to in the future.
Now, most importantly, in the simulators, how do they handle mulligans? Because I don't count those on my score.
There's a very clear button on the screen, actually.
Good, good. Yeah. So what could you describe for us the number of employees, how you handle trash, what kind of hours you keep at your other facilities?
Yes. So start high level and go more granular. So our hours of operation are from Monday through Sunday. Monday through Saturday, those hours are 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. Sunday, they are 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. And then as far as and Mondays we are closed, again, very common to golf clubs, but it is a maintenance day, it's a staff training day, it is an upkeep day to be able to provide the highest level of service that we can. As far as staff goes, it will range depending on the shift. Generally speaking, we are looking at the maximum of approximately 20 staff members. That is inclusive of front of house and back of house across our most busy period. At other periods of time, it will be significantly less. Of the 20, you can assume approximately 6 to 8 are kitchen staff, so not out on the floor at all.
All right. I'm going to walk you through what will be marked as Exhibit number 9. These are just renderings to kind of show you, if you want to just walk us through.
Yep,
what they
absolutely.
are.
So this first one that we see here, the progression of these renderings that are upcoming are walking through this space. So this is the first thing you see when you walk through our front doors. This is our entry lobby, again, comprised of a mixture of merchandise and golf memorabilia. This is standing adjacent to our bar, looking at what our bar will look like, and then a typical hitting bay directly in the center. The hitting bay here, I had mentioned, there are 2 different types. This one is a high-top bar-style hitting bay. This is a very similar image zoomed back a bit. So you can see this, the previous image was standing here looking at the bar. This image is zoomed back showing the soft seating area, kind of the living room, if you will, of our floor plan, where you can have a different type of entertainment, casual seating, conversations, dinners, things like that. This is an example of what it would look like at night. Again, we are very environment adverse. Philadelphia, the greater Philly area has a rich history of golf and a private club environment, and we wanted to try to emulate that as much as we could to provide that familiarity. This is the first image of our great room. We have 2 large banquettes built in on the left side of this image. We are looking straight through to the putting green that we will that is in the distance here, and then to the right, you are seeing the main dining area, large vaulted ceiling, flexible tables. This would be a perspective looking from one of those booths, looking through the great room to the fireplace. Turned around, looking at the booths themselves, they are quite popular, I will say. Then this is a straight-on shot of that same room to show kind of the environment. Some things that we offer to our membership are what we call fireside chats. We bring in key members or friends of our members that can do casual conversations, podcasts, things of that nature that are engaging and beneficial to our members.
I don't know if you want to point out.
Yeah, and if you'd like to see some existing photos of our Atlanta location, we have that as well.
They are in your packet. You can already look at them. I don't want to waste anyone's time here. So, Mr. Bain, how did you choose Radnor for site number 3?
So we have looked, and we still are looking all around the country, and we can certainly speak to that. Radnor is a place that has a rich golf history that we talked about. Getting our first couple clubs open is certainly a lot about where we feel like we can have a successful presence and where we feel like we have good membership basis. When we come to Philadelphia and we looked at the greater area, we knew we would want to be on the main line. We talk about our locations adjacent to cities through the course of the path of life. So your day-to-day operating, where are people living, where are people working, what is the middle ground? Where are the convenient travel routes? Obviously, the train in this location is hugely beneficial. When we look at our membership basis, we are very inclusive. youngest members, just out of college or in college, up to however old you want to be. So we want to make sure we provide a level of convenience to our membership, and they can travel accordingly and be able to have that convenience.
And do you believe that in-town golf's proposed use would fit with the surrounding neighborhood and be in line with Radnor Township's?
Yes, we do.
I realize I added an S there and confused you. Can you think of any detriment to the public welfare, safety, or any issues that your club might cause to the general public?
I cannot.
Okay. I think that is all the questions I have for Mr. Bain. Obviously, again, blitz through that as fast as possible, so I open them up to.
Yeah, we're good.
you all.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Jamie?
Just a quick question.
Yeah, of course.
Membership by person or by family?
There are membership tiers, so you have the option. There are 4 membership tiers at every location. Again, very common to what you would see at a normal club. You can be single, social, up to full family.
And so would families be dining here if they're not playing golf?
Yes. So we are a golf and social club. So we certainly see many, many members come by just to eat, just to have a drink, just to enjoy the space. We also see an impressive amount of interaction with families and young kids. We run summer camps for children periodically throughout the summer. Even Charlotte, being fresh, opened only 2 months. We've had summer camps for kids. Because we hire a full golf professional staff, we have the ability to continue to grow the game through the families that are interested in doing that with their children.
Would the camp be open to the public or members only?
It is members only.
Members only. Thank you.
I have a couple of questions. You mentioned a vaulted ceiling. We didn't talk about the heights in this building, but how do you get to a vaulted ceiling in
Sure.
an existing office building?
So by vaulted, I meant barrel vaulted. So it is the dramatic effect via the architecture to present that environment. Our floor-to-floor heights in this building are not significantly high. We will work within the structure to create as much volume as we can.
Okay.
And just to be clear, you're not changing any existing heights or structural nature of the building whatsoever?
No,
right?
we are not.
Kitchen, ventilation, all that kind of good stuff. How does that work in a glass-paneled building?
So we have had much coordination with Brandywine, going through the details of the base building and how we work within those. We are lucky in the regard that we are creating a new program, so we are going to utilize what we can, but we are going to use as much open space as shell that we can. We will have and have coordinated our exhaust routings for the piping. We have located the kitchen in plan with an agreed upon general location within the building footprint to achieve the most feasible opportunity for the landlord and for our program.
And just to follow up on that, because I did intend to ask the question, I'm glad you did. Mr. Bain, I had gone through these 2 photos with Mr. Christopa. The first floor where in-town golf will be is actually below the glass, where the glass begins, correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
On the left side of this image.
Right. And how about on the top image?
And the top, it is below this precast concrete beam the whole way across.
So there won't be any issues with getting ventilation and proper ventilation, and we'll meet all required township codes?
Yes,
correct?
absolutely.
All right. And then in one of the example photographs, it looks like there's an outdoor putting green. Is there anything like that as part of your plan?
So there is not in the current submitted plan. We do have the ability to do an outdoor patio. However, Philadelphia will be the first location, that Radnor will be the first location that we are doing an indoor putting green. Obviously, 6 months of possible winter limits the use outdoors. So we feel we have the ability to do something outdoors, but we do not feel an outdoor putting green is the most necessary here. So we've opted for the indoor putting green.
Got it. All right, my last question. What type of space are you in the two existing locations?
So-
Office complexes or?
Yes,
Yeah.
correct.
Okay, so similar to what?
Very similar. And where we've seen a lot of success is the occupants of the building or the adjacent buildings. The convenience of it, being able to come and hold a lunch meeting that is in your environment is very beneficial to a lot of our members. So we do see a lot of foot traffic in our other locations walking within their building or to adjacent buildings for work.
Okay, thank you. I have nothing else.
Okay. And to be clear, if I called Mr. Cristopo back, I don't want to belabor the issue. I intended to ask him that same question. Brandywine views this in-town golf club as an amenity to its current tenants and its future, attraction of tenants to have this insight to try to reactivate the space.
Quick question.
Of course.
Are companies considered members? So in terms of what you're talking about of using this?
No, so we truly target it around individuals and their families. Obviously, if you are part of a business and you are a member, you can utilize it for meetings, but we do not do true corporate memberships.
All right. I have
Anything
no
else?
further questions of any witnesses. I would move those 10 exhibits into the record. I would also just note, as Exhibit 11, I have just included any and all of the Radnor Township Code provisions that may be applicable here, just for kind of ease of reference in case we need them. I'm happy to list them off. It's the PLO district, the variance standards. I know we're not going into parking, but it has the off-street parking reference in there, and the prior non-conforming uses.
Okay. Without,
Just for ease of reference.
without objection. Okay, so I guess we go to public comment? Oh.
If I may, Mr. Chair, I think
Yeah.
John may have had a question.
No, I have a question, just a statement. It certainly isn't a new concept to have a restaurant associated with another type business right next door to this property, which is now a climbing center, but when it was the tennis center, had a very good restaurant attached. So it's not alien to us.
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Sure, of course.
If the witness knows, what would be the maximum occupancy of members in the facility at any one time?
So our code-approved occupancy, that is one of the sheets in your exhibit, is 411 total occupancy count. Our dining seating is significantly less than that.
And what is that number? Yeah, I know what the space can accommodate, but what are the actual seats?
Yeah, so our dining seats, inclusive of the bar as well as soft seating, so the living room areas that I talked about, is approximately 146.
All right.
And finally, just for the
Anything
board,
else?
again, I know the
Yeah.
hour is late. I submitted essentially what I will adopt as my closing argument and legal argument as to why we satisfy all the requirements and from the testimony necessary. I won't go into it unless the board has any questions. That email I know was circulated to you earlier this afternoon.
It was,
So.
yeah, thank you. Okay. Okay, is there any public comment? I see one person out there, but yeah, you're just here for moral support. Okay, so having no comment, do we have you have a question? Sure.
Quick question. Is there any point where the golf facility would be open, but the restaurant and food, liquor would be closed?
No,
So it's always open to.
correct. Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, so, yeah, we moved the exhibits in.
Without objection.
So I think I'll make a motion then. I'm going to make a motion to grant the variance for the proposed use as contained in the exhibits and in the application. Is there a
I'll second.
Any discussion? Yeah, so I'm just going to be brief. I mean, I think the impacts are minimal in the area that this building is in. You probably picked the nice, perfect island of an office building to pick this particular use. I was hesitant to go down the road as of right use, which is why
Understood.
I made the motion
Right.
to grant the variance. I just think that's a bit of a slippery slope for us. Our code is a little bit weak when it comes to certain definitions and such. And even for that matter, even though it's not in front of us at this point, but I'm not personally convinced that it's a restaurant use within the way that particular code section is written. So I actually think the variance is more appropriate for this particular application. So, okay, that said, we'll take a vote.
As a point of history, wasn't this land a golf course many years ago? Well, St. David's,
I believe it was.
where Wyeth and,
Financial Center.
Yeah.
That area behind 555 Lancaster.
right.
I believe was originally open land golf course. But again, I've heard.
So it's appropriate.
That would be pre-1972, so.
You've piqued my interest, though. I will be looking that up.
I think you
Golf
should make that the
memorabilia.
course that's played. That's the house course.
Love that.
I shouldn't say that before we take the vote.
I heard nothing.
Yeah. John,
That's it.
vote?
Paul, aye.
Jamie? I'm also in favor. Good luck with the project. Thanks for bringing it to Radnor.
Thank you very
guys
much. We're
so
happy to
much,
be here.
And thank you for your consideration.
Closing 5 o'clock on Sunday.
So I will say, when there are significant things, U.S. Open, even tennis, U.S. Open, golf tournaments, other major events, Sunday football, there are exceptions that are made to that. Yeah.
All right. So our next meeting then is September 21st, 2023. Everybody enjoy the rest of the summer, and we're adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Would it be helpful at all to have a
Great.
second
Good luck.
numbered paragraph?
This is 3162.
I think we have.
No, that was it.
No, we don't.
Yeah, we're good.